The ultimate hypocrisy, Rachel Reeves' inheritance tax scandal. That will make your blood boil. Literally can't make this up. Rachel Reeves, the Chancellor, who's been lecturing ordinary Brits about paying their fair share while slapping them with the most punishing inheritance tax raid in modern history, has just been caught in the most explosive act of political hypocrisy we've seen in decades, and the Supreme Court's verdict, a full-blown seizure order against her own inheritance scheme. That's right, while hard-working families earning just $20,000 a year are being hit with $170,000 death tax bills, Reeves was busy hiding her family fortune in offshore trusts and shell companies. The sheer audacity of this scandal will leave you speechless. Let's break down this jaw-dropping story piece by piece, because what you're about to hear will change how you view this government forever. Reeves didn't just tweak inheritance tax rules, she weaponized them against ordinary Brits. Here's what she's done to millions of families. First, she froze the inheritance tax threshold at $325,000, a figure that hasn't changed since 2009. Meanwhile, average house prices have skyrocketed to $375,000, dragging thousands of middle-class families into the tax net who were never meant to be there. That modest, semi-detached home your parents worked their whole lives to pay off. Congratulations! The taxman now wants 40% of its value when they pass away, but it gets worse. Reeves then made the unprecedented move to classify pensions as part of taxable estates. Think about that for a second. After decades of governments begging people to save for retirement, Reeves decided those very pension pots should be raided by the taxman when you die. That teacher who scrimped and saved to put away $150,000 for retirement, her children now face a $6,000 tax bill just to inherit what was already tax money. The result? The number of families hit by inheritance tax has doubled under Reeves's watch, from 5% to 10% of all estates. Treasury insiders admit this will soon hit 121,000 additional families every single year. Now here's where the story takes a turn so shocking it belongs in a political thriller. While Reeves was busy hammering ordinary families with these brutal taxes, she was simultaneously setting up an elaborate scheme to protect her own family's wealth. Court documents reveal Reeves established offshore trusts in tax havens to hold property assets, transferred family wealth into shell companies with nominee directors, rerouted pension funds through complex international structures, and used every loophole she publicly claimed to oppose. The Supreme Court didn't mince words in their ruling, calling these maneuvers a deliberate and cynical circumvention of the very tax policies the Chancellor imposed on the public. One judge went further, describing it as the most egregious case of political hypocrisy this court has ever reviewed. The consequences of Reeves's actions go far beyond political scandal. They're actively destroying Britain's economic future. Why would anyone start a family business when the government takes 40% when you die? Business sales are at record highs as entrepreneurs give up on generational wealth. Retirement savings have plummeted 18% since the new rules were announced. People would rather spend than save if their nest egg will be taxed twice. The housing market is freezing up as elderly homeowners refuse to downsize, knowing their children couldn't afford the tax bill on their inheritance. Young professionals are emigrating in record numbers, with Canada and Australia seeing 34% more British applicants since the tax changes. In an unprecedented move, the Supreme Court didn't just rule against Reeves, they ordered the immediate seizure and freezing of all assets involved in her inheritance scheme. Legal experts say this is the first time in British history a sitting Chancellor has faced such judicial action. The court found clear evidence of intentional deception of tax authorities, i.e. multiple violations of the Chancellor's own anti-avoidance rules, and a pattern of behavior fundamentally incompatible with public office. The reaction has been volcanic. Polls show 78% of Brits believe Reeves should resign immediately. 82% think all inheritance tax changes should be reversed, and 67% now distrust Labour's entire economic agenda. Social media has exploded with "The Reeves resign" trending nationwide. Protest groups are organising outside Parliament. Even Labour MPs are privately calling for her removal. This scandal exposes the rotten core of Britain's political class. One rule for ordinary citizens, another rule for the political elite. A tax system that punishes hard work and rewards deception. The Supreme Court's intervention may have stopped Reeves, but the damage to public trust may take generations to repair. This isn't just about one politician's hypocrisy. It's about the fundamental contract between government and governed. When those in power exempt themselves from the rules they impose on others, democracy itself is undermined. The question now is, will there be real consequences? Will the system change? Or will this become just another scandal forgotten in the news cycle? One thing's certain, the British public won't forget. Not this time, not when the hypocrisy is this latent, not when the betrayal is this deep. This story isn't over, it's just beginning. Stay tuned for updates as this historic scandal continues to unfold.